Good morning to you all, students. Welcome. Today we'll begin the sixth chapter from our text, Beehive. The name of the chapter is My Childhood. It's written by APJ Abdul Kalam. Before we begin, I'd just like to tell you that APJ Abdul Kalam was the 11th president of India. You might have seen his pictures also. He just passed away 3 to 4 years back. A very good person in all, even a scientist. And we have few incidents about his childhood. And basically he was a scientist. APJ Abdul Kalam, whose project in space and defense, even in nuclear technology, it guided India into the 21st century. He is also known as the Missile Man of India. He has even written his autobiography, Wings of Fire. And in that he speaks of his childhood days. So let's not waste time and just begin the chapter. It's narrated by APJ Abdul Kalam himself. I was born into middle class Tamil family in the island town of Rameshwaram. Rameshwaram is a place in India, in southern India. And in the erstwhile, means former Madras state. Now it is known as Chennai. My father, Jainuddin, had neither much formal education nor much wealth. Means his father was a very simple person. He was not much educated also and was not a rich person or a well-to-do. Despite these disadvantages, he possessed great innate wisdom. Innate wisdom means inborn wisdom, which is the quality that the person is born with, and a true generosity of spirit. He had an ideal helpmate in my mother, Ashiyamma. The name of the mother was Ashiyamma. I do not recall the exact number of people she fed every day. She used to do such a good job of feeding people every day, the hungry and the needy. The mother used to feed. They were not in a good condition, yet the mother used to feed poor people. But I am quite certain that far more outsiders ate with us than all the members of our family put together. I mean, every day lots of people used to eat free of cost, and the mother used to feed other people. I was one of many children, means he had brothers and sisters too. In short, a short boy with rather undistinguished look, means he was not very much pretty when he was a child. A simple looks he had. Born to tall and handsome parents. We lived in our ancestral house, means the house which was given to him by forefathers, father's father, the same house they were living, which was built in the middle of the 19th century. It was a fairly large Pakka house. Pakka house means it was made up of concrete and cement. It's known as Pakka house, made of limestone and bricks. It was not in a form of a hut or temporary house, but it was a permanent house on the Mosque Street in Rameshwaram. My austere father means simple, strict and severe. Austere father used to avoid all inessential comforts and luxuries. His father believed that it is not necessary, all the luxuries which are provided in the world are not necessary. They always lived in a simple way, not having much facility in their life. His father believed so, that it is not necessary. However, all the necessities were provided for in terms of food, medicine and clothes. And everything, means the other things, the basic needs were food, shelter, All these things were given. They never had any problem with that. In fact, I would say mine was a very secure childhood, both materially and emotionally. And he says that my childhood was okay, not so bad, because I had a good place to live, food, everything, and emotionally also everything was okay. Now we begin the chapter. The Second World War broke out in 1939. When he was a child, at that time the Second World War broke out in 1939 when I was 8 years old. So he was 8 years old when. For reasons, I have never been able to understand a sudden demand for tamarind. Now, do you understand what tamarind is? Now, this is the picture of tamarind. Many of us love to eat, and during that time, a sudden demand started for tamarind seeds, the seeds that come out from it, erupted in the market. I used to collect the seeds and sell them to a provision shop on the Moss Street. A day's collection would fetch me the pricely, means a good amount of sum of 1 anna. During that time, 1 anna was being used. The currency was 1 anna. Means if you gather 5 1 annas, it would sum up to 5 paisa. And 10 1 annas, if you would collect, then it would sum up to 10 paisa. So at that time, anna was used. So it was, he used to earn only 1 anna, and during that time 1 anna was also much worth. So it was not a small amount. So at that time he used to earn, and he used to sell those tamarind seed, and he used to get 1 anna out of it. Brother-in-law Jalaluddin, that was his brother-in-law. Now here we can see the picture of Kalam's house. You can see that obviously it is a strong house as compared to the other houses. So my brother-in-law Jalaluddin would tell me stories about the war, which I would later attempt to trace in the headlines of Damini. Now it was an kind of a paper during that time, and anna was a old coin that I told you. Now he used to listen to the stories what was happening throughout the world, because the world war was going on. So when the Second World War started, it broke out in 1939, as we have done, and during that time he was 8 years old, and he says, I never have been able to understand a sudden demand of tamarind seeds erupted in the market. Now tamarind seeds you might have. Now this is the picture of a tamarind. You might have eaten it also. So during that time, suddenly there was a demand for the tamarind seeds. The seeds that come out from this tamarind was a demand in the market. Demand for tamarind seeds erupted in the market. I used to collect the seeds and sell them to the provision store on a Moss Street. A day's collection would fetch me the pricely sum of 1 anna. And when he used to collect those seeds and sell it to the store, and there he used to earn 1 anna. Now 1 anna is equal to, if you have 5 1 annas, it would sum up to 5 paisa. So in 10 paisa you needed 10 annas. It was 1 anna. So he used to earn a sum of only 1 anna, and during that time 1 anna was also it had its own cost, means it was not a small amount of money. So he used to earn that 1 anna, and he was happy with that. My brother-in-law Jalaluddin would tell me stories. Now he had a cousin, and he was Jalaluddin. He used to tell him the stories about the war, because the Second World War was going on, which I would later attempt to trace in the headlines of Daimini. Now during that time he used to listen to the stories of the World War. Every day the news used to come. Our area, being isolated, was completely unaffected by the war. and India was a passive country during that time in the World War. So there were not much effect of the World War in their own place where they were living. That was Rameshwaram, completely isolated. But soon India was forced to join the Allied forces. But during that time, India was had to join the Allied forces. Allied forces are the armies of the UK, US, Russia during the Second World War. So they joined. India had to join hands with them to fight the World War, and something like a state emergency was declared. And due to that, there are certain rules of the war. So an emergency was declared in the entire nation, and there are few strict rules for the emergency. The first casualty came in the form of the suspension of the train halt at Rameswaram station. So as per the rule of the wars, the train didn't stop at the Rameswaram station, railway station. The newspaper had to be bundled and thrown out from the moving train on the Rameswaram road between Rameswaram and Dhanshokati. Now this is also a place. So due to that reason, the train did not stop. Every day the newspaper used to arrive through the train. If the train would not stop, how will they distribute the newspaper in Rameswaram? So what did they do? Those who were delivering those newspaper bundles, used to throw those bundles of the newspaper between this Rameswaram and Dhanshokati was a place, and they used to collect those newspapers from there. That forced my cousin Samsudin, who distributed newspaper in Rameswaram. He had a cousin Samsudin who used to do the job of distributing the newspaper every day, and he needed took to look for a helping hand to catch the bundle, and as if naturally I fitted the slot, and he needed a helping hand because those newspapers were thrown out of the moving train. They had to take those bundles, carry those bundles back, and then to distribute. And Abdul Kalam was the person who could be a helping hand with his cousin Samsudin. So he told him to come with him as a helping hand, a small job to be offered. Samsudin helped me earn my first wages, and he says that Samsudin was the person who helped me to earn my first wages. Means I earned my own money for the first time during that age, because we never forget our first wages. The first wages are whenever we do a job for the first time in our life and we get paid for it, we never forget that pay. So he is also referring to the same thing. Half a century later, I can still feel the surge of pride in earning my money for the very first time. And he says that I can never forget that I earned the money for the first time in my life. Every child is born with some inherited characteristics into the specific socio-economic and emotional environment, and trained in certain way by figures of authority. I inherited honesty. Now he says that each and every child, whenever he grows up in his family background, and when he comes in touch with his family members, his friends in the society, he inherits, and many times he gets inherited qualities, and mostly those qualities are of the parents that we receive as a child. So he says I inherited honesty and self-discipline. These two things he had as he was, these two qualities he had in himself as he was born. Which were the two qualities? Those were honesty. Means he was very, very honest, and self-discipline, and a very disciplined person. From my father, he says, my father was so, as we say that, just like father, like son. So he also became like his father. From my mother and from his mother, I inherited faith in goodness and deep kindness. Faith in goodness, to be good, and kindness. These two qualities he received from his mother. And so did my 3 brothers and sisters. So he had 3 brothers and sisters too. I had 3 close friends in my childhood. Now he says that he has 3 very close friends during his childhood. Ramadhar Sastri, Arvindan, and Shiv Prakasan. These were his 3 friends. All these boys were from Orthodox Hindu Brahmin family, and all his three friends were from a very Orthodox, means those who believed much in religion, are very strict about religious things, and all of these three friends, all of them were Brahmin. He was Muslim. As children, none of us ever felt any difference among ourselves. For children, there is no boundaries of religion. For children, friendship is the foremost thing, and they never think about what religion my friend follows or what kind of religion he is. Children never bother about it. They just have a clear heart, and they just love, and they believe in their friendship. They never believe in the social norms that are created by the society, that he is rich, he is poor, he is from this caste, he is from that caste, he is rich, he is poor. Children don't bother about that. They just play together and have friendship. That's why friendship doesn't believe in all those things. So he also says that we never knew those differences, that we were so much different by caste, creed, everything amongst ourselves because of our religious difference and upbringing. Everything was different. The religion was different. The upbringing of a Muslim boy is very different as compared to a Hindu, staunch Hindu, Brahmin boy. There are lots of differences, but they never thought of it. In fact, Ramadhara Shastri was the son of Bakshi Lakshman Shastri, the highest priest of the Rameshwaram temple. As we know that Rameshwaram is still one of the holiest places in Hinduism. Lots of people still do visit the Rameshwar temple, and just imagine that his friend was the son of the highest priest in that holy temple. Later he took over the priesthood of the Rameshwaram temple from his father. So when his friend grew up, later on after his father, he became the priest there. Arvindan went into the business of arranging transport for visiting pilgrims, and his another friend, that was Arvindan, who got the business of transport, and those pilgrims, those who used to visit, he used to use maybe taxis or buses and all those things he used to arrange for those people, for the pilgrims. So he had a business of transport. And Shiv Prakashan became a catering contractor at the Southern Railway. And his third friend, that was the Shiv Prakashan, who became a catering contractor, means providing food in the train. So these were his three friends. During the annual Sri Sitaraman Kalyan ceremony. Now during that time they had a ceremony there in his own town. Our family used to arrange boats with the special platform for carrying idols of the Lord from the temple to the marriage site situated in the middle of the pond called Ram Tirtha. Now, during that time, there was a ceremony, a Hindu ceremony, where they had to take the idol of God. Idol means Murti. They had to carry that idol of Lord to the temple, and they used to get a marriage function was held of the idols of the gods, and they had to go through the boat because that temple was situated in the middle of the pond, and it was known as Ramtir. So the compulsorily they had to go through a boat, and Abdul Kalam's family used to arrange boats for them to take them to the temple. Events from the Ramayana and from the life of the prophet were the bedtime stories my mother and my grandmother would tell the children in our family. See, they were from a Muslim family, but yet their mother and grandmother used to tell them stories about Ramayana and about the prophet also, and listening to these stories, Abdul Kalam grew up. So there were no differences in his mind about being a Hindu or a Muslim. He grew up even listening to the stories of Ramayana as well as of the prophet. We'll continue with half of the chapter in our next lecture. We'll just complete it. We have completed half of the chapter. We'll complete the half of the chapter in our next lesson. So stay with us. Thank you.